What's going on, everyone? With the number 2 pick in this year's draft, the Oklahoma City Thunder drafted Chet Holmgren, a star in and of himself, a sort of unicorn in many ways, a 7-footer that can dribble the ball, that can shoot, that can pass, that can do a little bit of everything, and had so much promise. The next superstar or potential superstar in this league. Many thought he was going to go number 1, but Paolo Banchero ended up going to the Orlando Magic, and the Thunder were ecstatic getting their guy in Chet, and we were all getting excited to ramp up to the beginning of this season to see what is Chet going to be, right? There's definitely some concerns with the lack of size. How is he going to be against the bigger bodies, more adult-built type of competition? And he's had a great sort of pro-am run, as well as doing the summer league and all of those things. And then we got to the crossover, and Chet Holmgren and LeBron James, Jason Tatum, and everyone there, and it was an absolute disaster, first and foremost, which if you didn't see it, I do have a video showing the whole thing on this channel. Go check it out. I'll even link it down in the description below, but it was a total disaster. And to start the whole thing off, Chet ends up hurting himself. He ends up tearing a ligament in his foot, and now he's going to miss the rest of the season. So he's not even going to play his first season drafted in the NBA, and it's very disappointing. Now, right off the bat, many of you might be thinking like, oh, like what does this mean as far as like his career? Do OKC, does he get fined? Like what ends up happening in that regard? Well, no, the NBA does have games that are sanctioned for players to play in, which the Pro-Am games and like the Drew League, stuff like that. That's why you always see these superstars going to these leagues and playing during the summer, during the season. And that's what it is. Like the NBA has a list of like, hey, you can play in these things because the NBA is a part of those things, right? And they have sponsorships and deals. That's why you see it on like streaming on NBA TV and stuff like that. Like that's the whole point. And Chet ends up getting hurt. And now it begs a big question. Is it worth these stars to go and play in these Pro-Am leagues and things like that? Because they're jeopardizing their careers, right? I mean, this thing, like what happens if this is the beginning of a foot injury? Now, Chet hasn't really had any significant injury histories or anything like that, so that's a good sign. He's been playing like a madman this entire summer. And I just think, to be honest, it was just a bad moment, right? He gets bumped by LeBron. He just takes a bad step, rolls his ankle, and just, ends up messing up his foot. We've seen it 1,000 times in NBA games and parks, all that stuff. Just this time he ends up tearing his ligament. We've seen him do it before in the past, and it's just a concern. Like, if it wasn't the Drew League, it would have been something else. He's fine. It's a sanction thing. He's not going to get in trouble. The OKC understands that this is the way it works. We've seen lots of guys, especially as of the last several years, which is surprising, completely miss their first season. The last 7 years, top draft picks have missed their opening season. I feel like every other year. It's bizarre to me. But nonetheless, I don't think that this is the end of the world. I don't think players are going to stop playing in Pro-Am games. Although I could see this really affecting the crossover because they were really not prepared. And that was a big thing. Things like the Drew League and stuff, I think NBA players will continue to go to those because they're prepared. They have guys there. They, if they get a call that somebody's coming, boom, they got security, they got whatever. The Jamal Crawford, I love what he's doing. I love what he's putting together. But if we're being honest, that was so Mickey Moused. Change the gym. Do whatever you have to. You got all these stars coming. Figure it out. Whatever you got to do to move locations so you don't have the condensation. And I'm not saying that necessarily had anything to do with Chet, but it's a little odd that he hurt himself. And then you have them calling the game because the floor is all wet and stuff. You got to do better than that. It's not like he had 20 minutes to figure it out. This was something that we knew 24 hours earlier. That's plenty of time to go get a new space, a new gym, whatever. You do what you got to do, right? But I don't think that this is going to have a major impact as far as NBA players go. Certain events, certain venues. I could see the Drew League getting a lot more of these big guys. But look, it's the game of basketball, right? It happens. You're going up for a play, all of a sudden you land wrong. You never know. Every time these guys step on the court, they're risking injury. Even in practice, their skin injury. We've seen guys, break their ankle or, break their hand or whatever in leading into a game or leading into practice or, before the season even began at like warm-ups and training. It's part of the game. You have injuries, you have bad moments, you step the wrong way, you look the wrong, whatever. It comes with the territory. So he'll heal up. He'll get a year to kind of bulk back up, get some more size on him, I imagine. Let the foot heal, all of that stuff. It's just unfortunate for Chet because I'm sure he absolutely wanted to show the world what he could do in the NBA. He had a very solid summer league. He was doing really well in the Pro-Am games, all of that stuff. And for him to basically have to call it quits before the season even began, and you're like, a month and a half away from the season beginning, like that's rough. That's got to be messed up for him. It's got to be frustrating for him. And of course, OKC. I'm sure the Thunder are just furious. And I was going to use a different word, but you get what I'm saying. I'm sure they have all kinds of emotions right now, simply on that their star that they just drafted, not in practice, not in a game, not in anything, doing one of these Pro-Am things becomes a big issue. And so what I could see happening, though, is teams kind of quote-unquote cautioning their players to not play and maybe using this as an example. But I don't think, like, if this was like a career-ending injury, I think that this would be something a lot more significant. But, I mean, what happened, it's happened a million times to these guys. They're accustomed to it. It's just, it was bound to happen, right? You got all these stars, all these players, this, that, and the other. They're all playing in these games. Eventually somebody was going to get hurt. It just happened to be Chet, and it happened to be the guy who's the, number 2 pick in this year's draft, all that. It's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, you know what I mean? But anyway, as always, I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. Last little thing I say is, like, it does suck not getting to see these two match up in an actual NBA game. It would have been cool to see the number 1, number 2 picks, duking it out like they did in college. It's just, I think the NBA is in good hands with these guys. And, again, it's just unfortunate. But we've seen all these guys playing, all these guys doing their thing. It was inevitable. But, do you feel that same way? Do you feel like, yeah, look, it's an injury. Injuries happen. It's part of the game. It's part of the sport. It's unfortunate that it happened to him, but it was bound to happen type thing. Could happen at practice. Could happen anywhere. When you're playing hoops, There's always going to be an injury chance. And then, or do you look at it the other way where you're like, no, like it was the gym. It was everything. He shouldn't have been playing in those things. Jamal Crawford should have done a better job. I know Jamal was getting absolutely destroyed for that whole thing and that whole event and stuff, and it is. You're putting this event on. You're trying to put all this together. You called LeBron to try to get this worked out. LeBron said, yeah. I mean, you got to do better than that, because this is something that could completely destroy that league, as far as like stars coming, because stars are going to be like, yeah, look what happened. Like, you put on an event with other stars, and now I show up, and what? I'm going to break my ankle because you can't get a proper gym because you're not, you're too cheap to spend the money? Like, you're trying to build and grow this league. Like, it's an interesting thing. But that whole event was a ridiculous mess, which again, I do have a video of the whole thing on this channel. Link down in the description below. However you feel about this situation, let me know down in the comment section below. One last little shameless plug is I did start As It Stands Lakers. It is a channel just like this, dedicated to only the Lakers, because the Lakers are my favorite team. And on this channel, As It Stands, I talk about all teams, all sports, stuff like that. We have football season coming up, so I'm definitely looking forward to that as well. And I just wanted to make a dedicated channel to the Lakers to give the ins and outs. Now, all the big stuff, all the big news and stuff, I will still post here on this channel. But if you want all the ins and outs and just rumors and theories and just discussions just strictly on the Lakers, link down in the description or in the comment section. Go check out the channel, subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. That being said, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot, lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.